Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the CYCPLUS M2 GPS cycling computer. While GPS computer features can vary a lot between brands, visually they tend to all look the same. That isn't the case with the CYCPLUS M2, which has a distinct round profile. That's something we've only seen with a few brands, or the very expensive Omada computer. Now packaging-wise, CYCPLUS has gone with a simple design. You have the graphic on the front, GPS computer on there, and basic labeling. They also have an app, and our friend Steven at CYCPLUS, which is your warranty person. So we'll go ahead and take it out of the box and go over the specs. Retail price on this is actually $99, but it is on sale. And like a lot of things on websites, they're usually always on sale for about $80. So definitely an affordable option. It has a 2.5-inch round display, which is something that's very unique. You don't see that with cycling computers. It has a 30-hour runtime with an 1100 milliamp battery, integrated battery with USB Type-C charging as well. And you can even run this while you're charging it. So that's a nice feature of USB Type-C. You have ANT+ and Bluetooth technology, so you can connect this to an app, to your power meter, to a heart rate monitor or cadence sensor. And finally, you have a Garmin style mount, so you can use this with any variety of existing mounts on the market. In terms of what comes with the device, you can see we get a charging cable, so USB Type-C, which again, really nice to see with newer computers. You have O-rings and a standard little handlebar mount. I would highly recommend just using an out front mount, but this has a little rubber mount. And then these little tabs, you just route the little O-rings up and around, and you seem to get, it looks like you get one extra one as well if you were to lose one. You have the instruction manual, which is written in this nice blue. Pretty thick, and actually more of a booklet here, but that's just because it has multiple languages. Now let's take a look at the weight of the computer. So just the computer by itself, that comes in at 70 grams, so quite light. And then the handlebar mount with the two O-rings and a little rubber backing. That's all plastic, so 10 grams, again, quite light. So now let's go over the fit and finish of the CYCPLUS M2. What's so cool about this computer is that it is round. You don't typically see round computers, and it is pretty large at 2.5 inches, so a nice large display. Now there's a reason you don't see round displays. It doesn't really make that much sense. You can see it's harder to display the actual fields versus a rectangle, but it's definitely cool to have, and this will stand out on your handlebar. This is just a big puck, so you can see fairly thick because of the battery. Garmin mount on the back, which is really nice to see. You don't have to use proprietary mounts. You can use any mount you already have. USB Type-C charging port on the back, which again, really nice modern feature. A lot of devices still use micro USB, but with USB Type-C, you can simply use your existing cable. There's actually no branding on the sides either. You have 4 buttons, 2 on the sides, on each side, just rubber. They don't appear to be labeled, with decent tactile feel. CYCPLUS on the top, and this orange ring on the rear, on the front, with little indicators of what the buttons do. They're pretty simple to use. And as far as setting it up, we'll show that on the bike, but you can see the display is a standard LCD display, so everything's pre-assigned a position, which is one big limiting factor for these more affordable computers. The hardware is just simply a lower end, but with this one you can connect sensors as well as power meters, which is nice to see. And you do have an app to do some basic configuration. Now let's go over the setup of the CYCPLUS computer. You can see a very unique profile. We have it mounted on our Topeak UTF out front mount. You can see it's dual-sided, so I have my light, and then I simply put the computer on top, and thanks to the Garmin mount, you don't need any adapters or anything special. So let's go ahead and set up the computer. It's pretty simple. You don't really have to do much. You can just turn it on and ride, but there are some configuration options. Hold the top left button, the top right button. Now you enter the configuration menu. Because of this screen design, you don't have logos or display, so you have to kind of guess what you're doing. It says C2, so configuration page 2. There's no C1. That indicates the sensor connectivity. So if you want to connect them, you want to confirm with the top left, and now it's going to connect to anything it can. So it'll connect to power meters, a heart rate monitor, cadence monitor. So you see I found my cadence monitor already. So now I have cadence. Anything you don't have will actually just be blank here, which is one side effect of this design. It is pretty rigid, so if you don't have it, you don't have it. Let's go back to the configuration option. So that's C2. So we're done with the sensor configuration. Press it again. C3, here you kind of have to guess. It's flashing, which indicates we haven't confirmed we want to change it yet. This is the diameter of the wheel in millimeters. You don't need to modify this if you don't have a speed sensor. This is only needed if you have a speed sensor to properly compute speed and distance. So we'll just leave it as is. Go to C4. Again, you have to guess what this is. This is the time zone. If you want to change it, top left. And now you can see the number here. So here's the bottom left button will cycle through the options. So it'll go through hours and minutes. And then to change the value, you can press the top right button. And you can only press the top right button to cycle up. So you have to go all the way through to the value you want, which is a little bit cumbersome. So find the value you want. You just have to look this up. Once you're happy with it, you want to confirm that you're done. So top left button. So now it's flashing. So I'm ready to go to the next page. C5 here shows miles per hour. So this is your clue. This is the unit display. So if I do want to change it, I'll press the top left button to say, yes, I want to change it. And then to change it, I'm going to now press the top right button. So miles per hour, kilometers an hour. Once you're happy with it, pick miles per hour, select it with the top left. And now it's flashing again, so I can go to the next page. So here again, C6, what is that? It is the temperature. So you'll see it up in the corner. So it's Fahrenheit. I'll click the button to change it. And you can see I can pick between Celsius or Fahrenheit. We'll leave it on Fahrenheit. Go to the next page. This is the factory reset. So this one I'm not going to do, but you'd hold the bottom right button, bottom left button, and that would do a full factory reset. And that's it. So you press it again, it'll cycle through. So hold it. So now we're essentially ready to ride. So pretty simple. As far as the buttons when you're riding, this is the light on and off. It is a manual backlight, not automatic. You can cycle through the options with that top right button. Hold it to enter configuration menu, press it to cycle through. You have a set number of pages, so no real configuration here. You can only show these in pairs, so it'll cycle through altitude, gradient, distance, odometer, and then max, average, or now, real-time value. You can iterate your laps, and then you can start and stop a recording, so press the top left. Once that play button's there, I'm recording, and that's about it. Now in terms of riding with the CYCPLUS, it's pretty easy to use. You just press play to start recording, and reception comes quickly if you turn it on outside. There's not much real configuration, and all these sensors seem to respond very quickly. The round profile also looks really cool, as you can see here. It'll really stand out on the bike as it's not something you typically see, and it's quite large as well. The only really negatives with the computer is the fact that it is a little bit dim. So especially when you're wearing sunglasses, you can't really see the screen as well as some other computers on the market. And then the button sequence for saving activities, that's also a little bit strange. So you press play with the top left button, press pause again with the top left, and then you have to hold the bottom left button. So it's a little bit unusual. Normally you just hold the play or pause button to save a ride. So with this one, it's easy to forget. And unlike other computers, it won't remind you to start doing the recording, so you do have to remember to press the play button. Now let's take a look at the CYCPLUS app. So with this one, you don't actually use the CYCPLUS app, but the XOS app. And you can see here the M2 is listed on the main page. You can also use the Coospo as well as XOS computers with the same app. So click on the M2. Now you can connect it. So Bluetooth is on, so I'll find it and then quickly connect. You'll see the indicator on the computer as well. Now here's where you'll see all the workouts. So it takes a little bit of time to sync up any rides you may have. So you have to wait for that. So we'll click settings to view any available settings. And you can see there's actually only 2 options here, which is a little bit disappointing. Can't actually do much with the app. You can't do any of the normal configuration available on the computer. Instead, you can just check the version, make sure that's up to date as they do fix bugs, or do a reset. So the main reason to actually use this app and sign up is to use Strava and Training Peak syncing. That'll allow you to automatically upload rides from the computer to the app and right through to Strava or Training Peak. So a great way to quickly do that upload instead of manually doing it. You can also use the app to record your rides, but as with a lot of these kind of apps, they're a little bit clunky. You might get stuck on loading screens, and I've even seen some pages where the languages is not really set properly. But otherwise really simple to use, and again, mainly use it for the syncing. Now let's compare the CYCPLUS M2 and other computers. We reviewed quite a few more budget-oriented computers, so you can actually compare them directly. We even have the CYCPLUS. This is the G1, which is the most affordable variation, about $30. Very similar design, and they simply took the higher end configuration and the interface and just reduced it to a more basic design. So it's very similar in terms of functionality, but you can see with the M2, it's more similar to the M1 in the fact that you can connect sensors. With this one, you cannot, but you have the same kind of display. With the round design, it does look a lot cooler though. You can see thickness and everything looks the same, but it just simply looks cool on your bike. There's other affordable options like the Coospo BC26 that we recently reviewed. Very similar again, it's more like the G1 we have here. You cannot connect sensors, more limited display, very limited configuration options, and no adjustability as far as where everything is shown. So with the M2, you're paying a little bit more, but you get the nice features and you can connect your sensors. So you can actually look at your RPM, heart rate, and other things. At this price point, you can also see Shanren has their Miles GPS computer. This will connect power meter, has a simple 3-page design, nice loud beep, and you can actually do some minor configuration with their app and even connect their taillight, which is really cool. And then you can turn the taillight on and off. That's something the CYCPLUS doesn't have. Again, you're paying for the round, kind of cool feature form factor on this. At the higher end, we have the Bryton Rider 750. This is a little bit over $200. A touchscreen color monitor. That's a big difference between the more affordable computers like the CYCPLUS and higher end ones. You simply just don't get the features. And with the higher resolution display, you can do cool things like a round display for speed, bar graphs, and other more flexible options. The other big difference is if you show like a menu, they can actually do overlays, which is something you just can't do on the CYCPLUS because everything's pre-assigned a position. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the CYCPLUS M2 cycling computer. What we like about it is it has a unique design. The round profile is something you really don't see on the market and really stands out on the bike. It also has a USB Type-C interface and even supports on-the-go charging, so if you have a power bank, you could plug it in and keep charging the computer as you ride. And finally, it has a Garmin-style quarter-turn mount, which means you can use the computer with a variety of third-party mounts right out of the box. Some of the negatives to the computer is the fact there's no real customization. Especially at this higher price point, usually you can at least rearrange some of the fields. The saving recording interface is not that intuitive. As I mentioned, you have to press play, hold a different button to save it. So you can easily just power it off and forget to save. And finally, you're not really able to set the odometer or any bike profiles, which again are pretty common features at this higher price point. Taking everything into account, we'd give the CYCPLUS an 8.6 out of 10. It's a very unique looking cycling computer that's still quite affordable. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.